because today we've got something special in store for you. The grandest spectacle, the greatest show of all, Johnny Bang Bang Show. Here's your host, Robert Gifford.
That's right, it's me. I am the one and only. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Robert Gifford. Johnny Bang Bang is the game, and I'm sitting here, as always, with my co-host, Dustin Borton, brother from another mother. He's going to be doing this show with me live every Sunday. We're going to be hoping to come at you from 7:15, 7:30. We'll get this thing down a little bit quicker. But, Dustin, what's up, man? How the hell you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just enjoying the weekend and just wrapping her up,
Yeah, the weather's been beautiful here in Michigan, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Today was gorgeous.
You know what I love about me and Dustin are wrestling fans, and we kind of met up with each other at WrestleMania this year. And we've got it's hard for us in our community where we are right now for us to kind of have a big wrestling social circle, and he keeps reaching out. I keep reaching out. I'm just like, dude, you know what? Let's just do this thing for real. Let's sit down. Let's have a show. You and I will co-host it together. We'll have a lot of fun. And I just want to say thank you for doing it and committing the time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I love talking about wrestling, so it doesn't bother me at all.
Doesn't bother me either, man. And so Wrestling Week 11-1 through 11-7 here. We have a lot to cover.
Yep.
Where do you want to start? What was the most impact we had? Monday Night Raw, NXT, you have Dynamite, you have SmackDown, you have Rampage. What's the best thing you saw all week? And we'll start right there.
Segment out of them or just the entire show?
Let's just take the best segment that you've seen all week. Thing that got you going. What's the thing you're talking about the most this week with wrestling fans?
CM Punk and
Eddie Kingston?
Eddie Kingston, yeah.
So,
I think that's, to me, them two promos, that was very good. You don't see promos with that much. I mean, you believed it, and you just don't really get those that much anymore.
It's the heart and the passion, right? Mm-hmm. I got a feeling you and I are going to be at times in this segment. We're going to be on opposite sides of this. Not the whole thing, okay? So we have big picture, and then we have splitting hairs, okay?
Yep.
So let's start with the pros, the things that we liked, okay? At AEW Rampage this past Friday night, CM Punk was on the microphone waiting for an apology from Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston hits. He interrupts his beginning, and then all of a sudden now Eddie Kingston, who just automatically takes that segment to a whole nother energy level, right?
Yeah.
Because Punk was kind of subdued.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? Yeah, he was kind of subdued, but he takes it to a whole nother energy level, and then we were kind of off to the races. It's about 9 minutes long. What did you think about Eddie Kingston? What's your initial thoughts on Kingston and CM Punk? What'd you think?
I think that promo set that match up better than a lot of other matches that have been set up lately. They pretty much only needed, they had the little scuffle back, which started everything of after Kingston's match with Bryan Danielson. But
yeah,
besides that, that was a little chitter chatter back and forth. But just that 9-minute promo just made you want to watch it so much now.
What's your thoughts on Kingston overall before the promo? What's your thoughts on Kingston as it is? Like, do you like him as a wrestler? Do you think he's a good wrestler? Do you think he's a great wrestler? Is it the promos that get him by as a performer? Like, what is it?
I think so. I think he has his moments from what I've seen, but he's not one of them guys that I go out there like a Bryan Danielson that I'm like, he's going to tear down the house every time, or Seth Rollins, those kind of guys that are just every time they touch that ring, it's going to be some kind of magic.
Your workhorses, right?
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what pay-per-view you're watching, those two guys are going to try their best to steal the show in the ring to make up for any storytelling, creative flaws that might have happened.
Yep.
The lasting impression on that storyline was done by those. That's what I love about wrestlers is that we can bitch and complain about these story creatives, the creative writers in those rooms and whether or not they're putting out the best content or not. At the end of the day, the wrestlers get the say with their match, you know what I mean? With their performance, and that's the lasting impact that you have on a lot of these things. I got to tell you, I think Kingston is trash when it comes to in-ring performance. I don't think he's a great wrestler. I think he's got a lot of passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it makes up and masks a lot of it.
I agree. I think his his rawness to him, right?
Mhm.
Like you can really get that like Brooklyn vibe out of him, and just like to me, that's just him. Like
Yeah.
he's not putting on a show like a lot of other. I mean, he's literally just that's him. He's speaking, and honestly, I think like part of his Punk promo, I think part of that was him really releasing some things from back in the Indies, right?
Unleashing, yeah.
Yeah, I think some of that was kind of little bits of truth there of like, hey man, like I kind of felt like you kind of held me down there for a little bit, and you were kind of pushing yourself up, and I've always respected you, but like
It's just
now you're coming where I am.
Right. And whether or not any of that is true or not, it's it was painted to us and presented to us as if it was truth. And it's like blends reality. And that's when wrestling storylines, in my opinion, like really get us involved. That's what makes you, who's going to AEW in 3 weeks' time to go to a Dynamite and a Rampage in Chicago.
Fourth row, right where the ramp and the ring meet. We're fourth row right there.
Dude,
so I mean,
you're gonna be on TV. Are you on the camera side?
Yeah, we should be. We should be on hard camera side.
Dude, you're gonna be on TV.
I believe.
I mean, yeah.
We'll see.
Hold up
to
up a Johnny Bang Bang shot sign, dude. You
for
should
real,
do that.
I will.
Dude.
I swear. Dude, we'll get up a Johnny Bang Bang sign.
Johnny Bang Bang YouTube Sundays, whatever.
Let's do it. Yeah,
Dude.
we'll throw up the title.
Hey,
up there, or
this is gonna be dope.
Dude, yeah. Dude, and I mean, to me, like when me and my wife were talking about it, it was just like I seen them coming on, and it was gonna be in Chicago, and they just released it like it was like they released it, announced it, and then a week later they went on sale. And I told her, I said, well, it's in Chicago. Like,
Yeah.
you will, I mean,
Totally different experience than the WrestleMania experience.
100%. That's exactly what I told her. I said, listen, like that was cool. WrestleMania, I mean, lifelong dream,
Yep.
awesome
Bucket
presence,
list,
right?
crossed off.
Absolutely. But being in Chicago with CM Punk,
Yep.
fourth row,
Yep.
and it's not just CM Punk. I mean, there's a lot of good things going in right now, in my opinion, in AEW, but you're going to see, I don't know if we'll ever really get that reaction again, right? Like,
Well, I mean, he's here for a while, so you'll get it. And they seem to be going to Chicago a lot.
no,
They're catering to that. But I know what you're saying. You specifically.
me, absolutely.
Yeah.
I won't be able to get that a lot, right? Because I can't be going to that type of show. So I was just like, okay, well, it's going to be in Chicago. Let's just do it, And the good thing is, too, I mean, realistically, AW prices are not what WWE prices are.
Oh,
right?
really? Was it an affordable ticket?
Yeah, it was like fourth row was like 120.
Dude, I got to look to see if I can get to that show
140.
then.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I just looked up actually tickets again
I wonder what
on it yesterday, and there was ones that were still like 6 rows back, but those were like 200.
So they're probably on third party now, like resale. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not sure,
That's
but
still, dude, that's still nothing compared to WrestleMania, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
well, just the Raw. Like I've looked up Raw, like kind of front row seats, and
Yeah.
I mean, when I looked, they were like 500.
Yeah.
you know,
It's a
plus.
price.
So I mean, to me, 100, like I said, 125, whatever it was, something around there, is. I mean, that's.
And it's an experience, and it's going to be. You're going to be in a crowd that's just going to be pumped full of adrenaline from start to finish. Yeah, dude, you're going to love it.
Two shows in one.
Two shows. They're going to record Rampage afterwards.
Absolutely.
It's a holiday weekend. People are going to be feeling good. 'Cause
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't got to go to work the next day.
It's the biggest bar night, and
Dude.
and we're going to Chicago.
Oh my God, are you guys staying out there afterwards?
Yeah, we got a hotel across the street from the arena.
Oh my God, come home early. Or just come home at all. Just make
Yeah.
sure you make it home on Wednesday or Thursday. Getting back to Punk though, in Kingston, you've got what's interesting the most, I think, is that the pros for me were the passion jumps out the page. I actually thought it was Kingston. They complemented each other very well. It was one of those things where I thought that CM Punk, he was smart enough to kind of be the yin to his yang instead of trying to match him with that passion. I think it was better for him to kind of like play the cool, calm head in this case and let Kingston have that moment. This is where I think I kind of was like, I got to be honest with you. This is the first time I've ever cared about Kingston. Like, ever cared. I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, Eddie. Like, I see you're bringing in this passion, this rawness to it. You're making me a little curious on how the story is going to go. To me, it's going to be it's not going to be a technicians fight, right? It's going to be a brawl.
No, I
right?
mean, you got 42-year-old CM Punk, and Eddie Kingston's got to be, I mean, what, high 30s?
He's got to be,
Mid-30s
if
to
not,
high
if not in his
30s,
early
right?
40s, if
Right.
not.
I mean, and again, we've already talked about, and Kingston's ability in the ring. It's nothing that you're gonna go watch a magical spectacle, right? So to me, I think the build up to this is going to be better than probably the match will.
Oh,
right?
easily.
I think the build up is going to suck you in, and the match is going to be, it might have some highlights here and there, but you're going to see a lot of chokes and a lot of submissions, a lot of, which some of it's okay, right?
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of spots. I think you're going to see tables and, just an all-out brawl, I think is what's going to happen, because those are the things that kind of help mask, those non-technician fighters. You know what I mean? John Cena was not a technician, but he was serviceable. He could make you believe that he was serviceable, kind of like a Hulk Hogan was serviceable. Those aren't great wrestlers, but they're serviceable enough in the ring to be able to tell a story because you're so invested into the character. Okay. You know what I mean? Yep. Eddie, I don't think has enough of a following for us to be necessarily invested into him as a character at that particular time at Full Gear. Maybe as time goes by, we will. Yeah. But I don't know. I just think that's going to be more of a, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's going to be more of a slower played story, but I don't know. I think it's going to be more of like a Triple H and like Batista, like at WrestleMania 36 or 5 or whatever it was, where they're just beating the hell out of each other with everything they can get their hands on. So
very possible. I mean, to me, this could be the start of, in my opinion, CM Punk's first feud in AEW.
And a good one. Yeah. I agree. I think it's a good place to start for him because have you seen we'll go there in a minute. I want to go to the cons of something. This is where I think we're going to maybe miss each other a little bit. Maybe not. I was sitting there as I was watching it. I was thinking to myself, there were some spots, right, where he's delivering it. And he's passionate, but he's saying some stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like, because I was fat. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, kind of so dumb. It brings you out of it a little bit, but it's not enough for you to be like, you're completely removed and you're not sold on what they're doing, because then they'll hit you with the next line that works, right? Yeah. But this is the part where Vince McMahon, running $1 billion industry, company says, no, I don't want those moments at all. And not that I believe they shouldn't be scripted and that those moments are bad. I think I would rather live with Eddie Kingston's promo than those guys being in their head and reciting something that was written for them. I'd rather have that any day of the week. However, this is where I think that promo by Eddie Kingston, I think, drives Vince McMahon nuts. You know what I mean? Because he's got stakeholders and shareholders, and he's got, companies that are invested into him, and he's got he's got Fox and all these different people that are looking at him, and he's got to be able to present them at all times, be in control of that. Where Tony Khan he's got TNT by all means, but like they kind of know what they are. They're a little more adult product. Yep. You know what I mean? Where Vince McMahon is not that. So, like, he kind of has to have it tight. Now, if he goes away from that PG, then I think he would maybe let the promos go a little bit more. But I think that's why he's so strict. And when I was watching that, there was just moments where I was like, this guy would never fly in WWE. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's the point of why AEW exists now. But yes, that's right there is I just watching that, I was like, yeah, Eddie Kingston he's going for it, which I love, but some of the things he's saying, I don't think he's 100% nailing the segment. I knew this segment was going to play back good. Everybody was going to love it, but critiquing it, I was thinking this isn't as good as people think it is, but it's still better than anything we're being given right now. Okay. Is that fair? Or you totally disagree?
To an extent. So I would say that I kind of like the fact, there was some points in there where I was like, okay, he was kind of going, and I'm like, where is he going for a second with this, right? But I also kind of look at that as that rawness, right? Yeah. That non-scripted movie acting kind of just, because when you're in a verbal argument in real life, right, you don't necessarily say the perfect things every time, right? You say the first thing that's coming to your mind. You're trying to rebuttal And sometimes it doesn't come out the best way or the best form or maybe the best grammar. So I kind of took that as like kind of a rawness that he wasn't as restricted.
So you actually thought it added to the segment because he was so passionate and selling it that it didn't matter that he might have tripped up on a word or two because he had the passion and it kind of pushed him through.
Partly.
You thought it added to it because you're right. We as people, I mean, we're on this podcast right now and we tend to stumble over some words, but where Vince would say, I need something clean for the trailer, boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he needs something. You need to be able to hit your spots so that we can sell this, in these 30-second, minute-long trailer packages to get people hyped for the thing. And if you're flubbing your words, that can't make it into the into the trailer. So there's that kind of that two sides of that coin, I suppose.
Yeah.
But this is
sell
AEW.
Tickets, though?
It does sell tickets.
I mean, I guess from a financial standpoint, to me, I don't know if I was USA or Fox, if I'd be over here saying, well, just, do this. And if it doesn't sell well, if it starts making them money because to me, if you even notice, I've noticed lately in the past couple months, Roman Reigns has been saying a lot more non-PG stuff than they have in years.
Yeah.
And
he could get away with it.
Right. But I mean, and it's drawing money. People have reactions to it.
Yeah, you're right.
Know?
Why can't they go back to the days where dude, I would even prefer if I'm not going to lie. I don't like a lot of swearing in my wrestling because I not that we don't swear as people. I just think it's a cheap way to I just think it's overused. I don't want to hear mother effers in my wrestling. I don't want to, I don't want to hear that. That to me is too. It's not. I want it to be a little polished, right? A little bit, but I want the passion there. I'm kind of rabbit trailing here, but my point is that with someone like Eddie Kingston, he's got to have that passion to drive through it because we don't really know the character. Where CM Punk, we already love the character, and I thought he delivered just enough lines to be like, no, man, this it's nothing to do with me. This is about you. I'm not going to bring my standard down to what we thought you should have got there and you didn't. You failed.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think I think CM Punk got that moment and that's why the moment worked. I thought it was a pretty good moment.
That all of that isn't even the part that I didn't like. The whole part that I didn't like about that segment was the end.
The way it ended? When
they tried to separate them and bring everybody out, to me,
that's overdone.
It's a WWE move.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And I don't mean that as they were copying WWE, but that's just the traditional, every time they have Brock in a segment,
big brawl.
It's John Cena, The Rock. You have all these people, and that's what they do. They have all these, jobbers come out and try to stop them and these refs, and they blow them back, and they run and jump on top of the pile. It's I could predict what they are going to do before they even did it on that. And I'm thinking, come on, AEW, all of that great passion and and I understand you want to separate them, but do it in a different manner. Maybe don't let them fight, and you have to bring out all these people, or you have Eddie Kingston go grab a kendo stick and trying to fight everybody else to get to him.
Yeah, something. Do something, a little twist.
A little twist and a little bit different to that, because I just felt like I went from...
We lose you?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
my wife texted me about something. I just was reading it. But yeah, so I don't know. That was the one thing that I didn't feel like.
Yeah, because it's overdone. It's an overplayed type of move, storytelling move that WWE does. I actually thought the best version of there's two things that come to mind that worked well. Undertaker Brock. For whatever reason, that one worked. I don't know if you remember the build up to SummerSlam after Brock beat Undertaker at WrestleMania, and Undertaker finally came back to get his revenge because he was healthy. He got over the concussion.
Okay.
He had the short hair. There's that iconic laugh scene it was that build.
Yep, I remember that.
Where on a Monday Night Raw, it just never ended. That to me worked for whatever reason. Maybe it's because it was Undertaker Brock and you were just so invested in that storyline again and the characters.
Yeah.
It worked. But as far as, and the other one would have been the original one, which was Austin and Tyson and McMahon.
Yep.
Right? That whole thing worked because you had the boxing entourage That was there. That was different.
Yeah.
Instead of you're like, oh, these are some legitimate badass guys that are in Mike Tyson's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just Hugh Hefner or whatever his name is, Earl Hefner coming down the hallway trying to, you know, yeah, that'd be a hell of a twist, wouldn't it?
The Godfather out there.
That'd be a hell of a twist.
But you know, the other thing with that though is look at all the guys that you just mentioned being in those kind of brawls.
Yeah,
They're all way bigger than what CM Punk. You know what I mean?
Kingston.
Like you're talking about what 6'8" or 6'9" Taker and a 6'3", 6. You know what I mean? Big dudes that are legitly trying to be held back. Where you have CM Punk, it's like what, like 220 with you know what I mean, 42 years
It doesn't
old.
work when they're not physically. Yes, you're right. They got to be these larger than life characters.
Yeah.
I think I like the initial setup to the brawl. I love the headbutt. That was cool.
I agree.
Right? That was a cool little thing. But what would have been nice is that if like Punk would have just got out of the ring and Kingston was just kind of like smiling, like, I got you, like you're engaged in my game now or something. I agree. Totally didn't need that brawl at the end because it's just not believable with those guys.
Nope.
So yeah, man. Well, we'll see what happens, see how it plays out. That was the best thing we've seen all week as far as the segment goes. We have a lot more to cover, though. Bloodline, Roman Reigns did their thing. Bianca Belair had a nice matchup with Becky, the man, on Monday Night Raw for the Women's Championship. Yep. That was a nice little contest. What was the best thing that you saw came out of WWE this week? Sometimes
Reigns,
it's tough.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I think it's hard right now for anybody to beat Roman Reigns in WWE. I think he's got a really good thing going. I think they've steered him with different opponents in different ways. They've included Jay and Jimmy sometimes they don't. And I like how they kind of bring them back and forth.
I agree. I like that dynamic too.
And you know Brock came for a second, right? But you know he's coming back.
Oh, yes.
Right? So it's kind of now you're kind of in your back of your mind thinking he's going to be here at one point, right? And if you notice during the segment on Friday when they were beating up
Woods?
King
Woods?
Yeah. I wanted to call him Austin Creed.
Yeah.
King Woods and Kofi, they were chanting Brock.
Yeah, they were.
Not Big E, which most people, you know, because my head and a couple of people I've talked to, their thought was they're going to start building for Survivor Series.
Right.
So Big E's going to come out to save them, you know, and that was kind of the thought process. It didn't happen.
Look at you being all rational and smart thinking with your creative. That's probably what should have happened, but maybe we're just a week too soon.
Exactly. I think that we're a week too soon, so that way they can kind of build it, give them that beat down, give him a beat down again next week, but then all of a sudden he comes out and saves them, and then you have 2 weeks to for the pay-per-view to build that. Yeah,
because that's Thanksgiving weekend, isn't it? So you think about. I just want to explain to you what's going to happen for your.
I don't know.
It's usually Thanksgiving week, so you've got Wednesday night Dynamite and Rampage is where you're going to be.
Yep.
Thursday you're going to have Thanksgiving. We're going to watch the Lions lose, right? Friday night you're going to watch yourself back to see on Rampage to see if you made TV or not.
How do you think about that?
Saturday you're going to have Ohio State versus Michigan.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, you're going to have WWE Survivor Series. That's a pretty good little weekend there for you, buddy. A 5-day weekend for you? I don't know.
Yeah, I got a vacation day, so I got it all set up. You know? I didn't even think about that. That's a very good point. It's going to be a busy week.
Sure is. I think you're right. I like the way, first of all, WWE has thrown everything behind Roman Reigns. All their horses, the best storylines, everything, best creative is going his way. I think they've done a really good job with Brock. I love Brock being a good guy. Like, I think the fans do. I think they've wanted to cheer for this guy for so long, and now they actually have a reason. Something interesting happened this week in WWE. Did you see this?
Yep.
Okay. Once again, another list of WWE releases. I think this actually becomes the news more than anything WWE did this week in front of the camera. And that's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad, but here we are, another list of releases. And I'd like to list off the latest ones if I can, and you tell me what your thoughts were on these. If I can find a list, I don't need all this extra stuff. Here we go. Let's go one by one. All right, Eva Marie, give me your thoughts. Does it matter that she's gone.
No.
No. I hate to say that, but it doesn't. They did just bring her back though and repackage her, and now she's gone just like that.
Yeah. It was
Doesn't matter, right?
no.
Ember Moon. It's an interesting one, right? There's definitely feels like there's a place for her, right?
Yeah, I think she's good. She's not the best on the mic, but I think she was a good wrestler. I think she had a good personality. I kind of feel like the same way I do with her with Naomi. I kind of feel like they're good. They're not. I think she's a little bit better. Naomi's better on the mic than what Ember Moon is.
Yeah,
but
here's
no.
Here's the biggest thing. Here's why Naomi is there and Ember Moon is not. Merchandise. They figured out how to market Naomi the right way with the glow sticks, and she's a dancer, and she's got all that going for her. And now you see all these little girls in the stands, and they've got all the stuff on, the glow sticks, and they've got the strings and all that stuff. They found a way to sell merch, so she makes sense. They're gonna keep her because she sells a lot of merch.
Yep.
Who's buying Ember Moon stuff? What's her big thing?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I feel like Ember Moon lost her way when she got injured. And when she got injured and then had that long delay, because her first initial run from NXT to the main roster was pretty good. Mm-hmm. They used her right. And then after she got injured, she's never been the same since she's been back. She came back on NXT. In my opinion, whenever you go away and come back to NXT, you just don't feel the same, right? Like, did you think Finn Balor had a good run the second time around in NXT? Or maybe he did, but did you even care about it?
Yeah,
you did?
I didn't mind his second run.
You didn't.
There's a couple of people that I'm like, okay, but I mean, was it great? No, but
did it do anything for his current run now? Like, did they reshape him in any way to make him more packageable or more? You're more invested in him as a character now.
I feel
to me, it's the same thing.
It is the same thing. I feel like on NXT, it feels like the guys, their champions on NXT are smaller. They're always smaller.
Always smaller.
Right?
Yep.
And so Finn Balor, which is a phenomenal wrestler, I don't think he's bad on the mic at all.
No. He's actually a little bit improved, I think. He's a lot more comfortable with himself.
He fits in more to me than on NXT than he does WWE, just because the mentality of you had to have your champions be these big guys, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the thought process is how is a Finn Balor, this small guy, ever going to beat this big guy, right? And so they pretty much there for the, I don't know, past couple of months almost basically squashed him, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, they don't really know what to do with him. Quit putting him in main event matches then if you're just going to have him lose.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying, it's like they agree he's a credible enough name to make you watch. Well, I argue that too. I actually argue what makes us watch. Is Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns at a secondary pay-per-view enough if you didn't have the network, okay, or, on Peacock. If you didn't have that where you're paying $5 a month and you had to go old school and pay $30 a month for it, or $30 for the pay-per-view, would you pay it to watch Roman Reigns fight Finn Balor with the story that they told?
I mean, honestly, I never did pay him anyways.
You never did before. So this changed the game for a lot of people, right? Is that you're getting an opportunity to see. I was the guy that paid everyone, right?
Yeah.
So
not for everyone, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I would pay for the big ones, right?
Right. I was the guy that paid for everyone.
Yep.
So, but I'm saying on the current road as it is, I don't know that I would pay for that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right. Let's get back on here. So just going to list off some of the no names here not no names. I want to do them justice here, but Frankie Monet, B-Fab, Grand Metalik, Lince Dorado, Jesse Camilla, Zeta Ramir, Trey Baxter, Katrina Cortez, Mia Yim, Harry Smith, and Oni Lorcan. Okay, those are some of the other ones. Now, let's look at the big ones here. Keith Lee. Keith Lee just got let go. He's been repackaged 3 times in the last year. His biggest main roster moment, in my opinion, was probably Royal Rumble with like Braun Strowman
and
Brock. That was probably his big moment of fame at that level. And then they used him right in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
I was never a huge Keith Lee guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the question is that if you're going to put all that time and invest him into NXT and he's the main guy on your show there with a handful of others, why trash him when he comes to the main roster?
They do it. I feel like they do it all the time.
They do it all the time.
Like,
there's going to be another name
I
on
was
here.
exactly thinking the same thing. It's literally the same thing. You put them to the highest peak in NXT. You build them up through this entire time. People now know their names,
Yep.
know who they are, know their gimmick,
Yep.
right? And then they come to WWE or they switch the main roster in either a different gimmick,
Yep.
or you put them in jobber matches and don't build them up and there's like nothing there. And I'm like, why did you, like, if they're an NXT champion,
Yeah.
then they should be up there with the caliber of they're a
Yes.
champion in your company, no matter what brand it is.
You need to make your own company credible, man.
Exactly.
I don't understand this disconnect between NXT and the main roster, other than, and for the longest time I argued against it, but I think these guys were right, is twofold. One, I would argue, all right, my friends would always say Vince trashes these guys when they come up. He doesn't know how to use them. There's some truth to that. I agree. However,
Yes.
I used to argue that the guys were swimming, they were big fish in a small pond, and then all of a sudden they become small fish in a big pond, and the cream will rise to the top. If they're that good, they'll find a way, right? That's what I always used to believe. I totally believe that and Keith Lee was one of the main ones that made me change, is that I didn't think he was all that great in the first place, but I think he deserved a spot on the show. And when Vince got his hands on him right away, he changed his theme song.
Yeah.
Why? His theme song was great.
Yeah, no.
The fans would sing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want, is fan interaction. It's at times I almost feel like Vince doesn't want the crowd to ever chant anything. And sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. So Keith Lee, would you have does it hurt the company to release him?
Hurt the company? No.
No, because they didn't do anything with him.
Yeah.
Here's the
No, I think he can be an asset other places.
I do too, but I will say this.
Nothing that he's not like an Adam Cole going.
No,
right? Like,
totally agree.
I mean, to me, it's kind of like a Rusev.
Yes, and I still think Rusev is way better.
Yeah.
A Miro. I think Miro's good.
I don't mind him.
Don't mind him. We'll have to. One day we're gonna sit down and.
There's a couple of things about him that kind of irk me. That have always irked me.
All right, 30-second soapbox, all yours. I'm not even gonna interrupt. You just tell me. Go.
I feel like no matter what, it's the same thing over and over and over with him. Same moves. I feel like it kind of like a John Cena. I feel like there's things that he just does repeatedly over and over and over, and it's like the same thing. And if you watch it week in and week out, it's almost like you know what he's going to do when he starts doing certain things. There's no surprises.
Interesting. Did you see his finisher the other night against the who was he fighting in the AEW championship tournament?
I watched it.
Who was he fighting? He was fighting somebody. It was Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy, yeah.
That move he does where the little twist that I forget what the name of it, but where he puts it's like an old school Boston crab, but then he like flips backwards, and now he completely bends them in half. So you know his finisher.
Yeah.
Where he's got like he's sitting on their back.
Yes.
Now he's kind of put a twist on it where he is now completely bending them in half. So he'll just drop backwards and it snaps them, and he holds it in place. So that was a little twist.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like
Right.
things like that. Like his finisher's been like, and first of all, I don't even care for it. And second of all, it's like the same. I don't know. So that's good. That's good. That's what I want.
That's what you want.
Exactly.
That's what you want. Okay, a couple other names on here before I hit you with the big one. Nia Jax is gone.
Reckless.
Needed to happen a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree.
Safety concern.
Safety concern.
It's crazy how it didn't. I mean, I don't know. Even if you take safety out of it, who can she wrestle?
No.
And again, I don't mean this bad way, but she's a big girl,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody that can really match her, right? Because again, it's like one of those things, a Finn Balor to a Brock Lesnar, right? Like realistically, she can throw them girls around that ring.
I don't know that though. I'm going to tell you why. I don't confuse weight with muscle. And she doesn't come off as muscular to me, right? So she's just a big person. Now, she's a bigger person. My problem with her is more than her just being a bigger girl is that she's a slow girl. She reacts slow. She sells slow.
I agree.
I agree. She's able to throw around Alexa Bliss or somebody who's really little. You know what I mean? Most of those girls are really little, but I don't confuse, like, I'll give you another example. I never thought somebody call my mama. What was that Brodus Clay?
Yes.
I never looked at him as a big muscular figure. To me, he was just a big belly dude. Like, did you think oh, you didn't watch the old school guys, but like Kamala, like he used to come out and like
Okay.
those guys are just fat.
Yeah.
Is Kevin Owens muscular? Is he a physical presence?
I don't feel like I think there's certain people. Like the reason I say her though is because if you watch that feud that happened a month ago with her and Charlotte, I think it was her and Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
They actually started.
Oh, where they started swinging on each other?
Yeah.
She did have some right hands.
She shoved Charlotte is. I mean, you can
You're
tell
right.
like, she's strong,
Yeah.
and she shoved Charlotte into that ring and held her there, and,
Like she was nothing.
right. And
Yeah.
that's what I kind of mean about that is like if to me there's Charlotte's up there is probably one of the people physically that could be able to.
If you were going to pick anyone to go after her, it would be Charlotte, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll back off my point a little bit. You're right. Maybe in the female world, she's actually really, really strong. I will say this. Becky never happens if not for her
100%.
reckless, you know what I mean?
100%.
That never happens.
She made, and I don't, not made her career, but she elevated her career.
Elevated her career. Totally agree. Totally agree. Okay, let's drop the two names here now that I just don't get. I just don't get. I have no idea how this even happens. They dropped as a package Scarlett Bordeaux, who hasn't been on TV in forever now.
Yeah.
We didn't know why. And Karrion Kross. Does that make any damn sense?
It's Keith Lee again, right?
But faster, faster.
Yeah.
He didn't even get a chance on them. His first night on the main roster as NXT champion, he loses to Jeff Hardy. Love Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy should not be beating your NXT up-and-coming future superstar in Karrion Kross. Shouldn't be happening.
He gained what out of that? What did Jeff Hardy get out of that? Nothing.
Not a damn thing.
Like he needs anything anyways, right? He's still getting cheered at 39 years old or whatever he is.
It makes
right?
absolutely
without doing anything like that.
So what are your thoughts then? I mean, you're just going, so do you think they lost a future superstar?
Yeah.
I agree. Like wholeheartedly. Like to me, I don't even, that feels like a Vince guy. Karrion Kross, he's got demonic views.
I do agree. He hated that mask, so he came out and said that. You see that?
That's another thing. Why does Vince have to touch it? Vince, your brilliance is that you've created this company, NXT. Your brilliance is that you put Paul Levesque, Triple H in charge of it. Your brilliance is that he then brought in Shawn Michaels, the greatest storyteller, in-ring storyteller of all times, to tell stories. It works. They're successful. But Vince, William Regal. But because they didn't beat AEW, Vince didn't think it worked, and he must change all these top guys in NXT because something still must not be working. I thought the package of Scarlett Bordeaux and Karrion Kross, I actually thought it hurt him when she stopped coming around.
Oh, I do too.
You agree?
I agree. Yeah, I actually I showed Des one day their entrance in NXT.
It's everything.
And I think it was probably right before he got champion. And I was watching a pay-per-view and I said, hey, "Why? I don't think you've ever seen this entrance. Watch this." And she came through, or they came through. And she was like, "Oh, that was pretty sweet." She's like, "That's one of the better entrances I've seen." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Like to me, that was one of those. You remember that entrance, right? It wasn't just
it's your first impression
and walking
with him,
down.
yeah.
It was the way that it comes up, and she comes up in the white background behind it. It was very cool. He's very intense. She is very good at playing the evil kind of role. That
but
kind
in
of
a sexy way. She's the mastermind. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great. I just don't understand it. You're gonna bring him to the main roster, have him lose. You don't bring her in. You change everything. All of a sudden, then he has a mask.
Here's my
crazy.
Here's my biggest problem. Here's my biggest problem. Is that there absolutely feels right now to me, and I'll keep saying this over and over again as we're down to our last 20 minutes of this show. I'll say this over and over again. I'm a diehard Vince McMahon guy, and it is becoming the hardest thing in the world because I feel like a man with no country now.
Yeah.
Because I can't defend him anymore. I've been waiting for like this big thing where it all comes together, Dustin, and it's like, oh, I knew it. I knew he had a plan this whole time. That's why this guy's gone and she's gone, and that's why they've done this stupid storyline for as long as they did, because it was all going to have this big, gigantic payoff, and it doesn't. And not only these releases feel like, what do you want to do today, guys? We just made our highest earning quarter in, so many years. We're doing well. Let's cut more people. Okay, but wait a minute, Vince. You just did the WWE draft on the season premiere 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was, October 4th.
With multiple of these people on there.
You just put all these people on the main show. And we're going to let them go. You invested nothing into them.
Because to me, I feel like if Vince brings them, no matter what in creative control he has over them, if he brings them up and they don't get that reaction, even if it's him changing all this shit or whatever, if they don't get the reaction that he wants, it's their fault. I feel like that because they don't have, from everything you read and all the wrestlers that are going to AEW, and that's what they're saying. Like, that's the big ticket to AEW right now, is they pretty much have creative freedom for the most part, right?
Yep.
They're guided a little bit, but especially your guys that are, that are your up and comers, right?
Yeah.
They're giving them a little bit more freedom. And in my opinion, they should.
They should. And I keep thinking that do you remember, so like in WCW, those guys had a lot of, there's so many parallels between AEW and WCW, but there's also so many things that just AEW does just a little bit cleaner than WCW ever did it.
Yep.
Which is the little things that AEW, or that needed to be done for WCW to continue to have been around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a various amount of reasons. Eric Bischoff went too long with the NWO. Then he went too many members in the NWO. Then it was like, holy crap, who the hell is actually going to fight these people? Then they struck gold with Goldberg and Sting, but then they went too long with that. And then they brought in Vince Russo, who just completely made a circus of the whole circus. He brought in David Arquette was your champion, and it was like, what the hell is going on? You got Shaq and Karl Malone in a main event pay-per-view, you know what I mean, with Hogan and Diamond Dallas Page. And it's just like so many little things that somebody, and I actually think Tony Khan is a little smarter. I think he gets it. I really do.
Seems like it.
I really do. I got to tell you, it's like being a Vince McMahon guy, I'm still waiting for like the implosion where like too many people are doing too many different things at AEW and something slips through where like there's a big mess up and like it inevitably gets to a point where like they get ran like WWE because they have to, you know what I mean? Because you never have a speed limit sign until somebody can't control themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you have those 2-3 car accidents, it's like, okay, we got to tighten this up. Everything goes through me now. That day, I believe, will come. But maybe not. Maybe he's found a way to just keep these creative freedoms going for all these stories. Because I think Malachi Black, and I want to talk about what he's getting ready to do. He's talking about his promo that he just gave, right? About, he's actually going against Tony Khan right now. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen it.
So Malachi Black's last promo that he just gave over the past week is him talking about, I'm not the only one that has beef with you, Tony. And in due time, you shall see. And it's like, oh, who is that? What's that all about? And
Buddy Murphy.
Could be, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but not with that. But Buddy Murphy's coming.
To AEW? I thought they didn't sign Buddy Murphy.
I thought they did all in packages, and they showed him.
Oh, I missed that completely. Buddy Murphy?
I swear.
Really?
Because he hasn't came yet, but that was like 2 months ago.
Then there's no way. Unless he's been, because I haven't seen him on any of the recent shows.
No, he hasn't, but I swear that he did a promo it was actually a 2-part promo, a week apart, where he basically is getting released from the psych ward.
Oh, I missed
And
that
it looked
altogether.
the package looked really good,
Okay.
honestly.
Okay.
And I swear, I swear it was him.
Well, I'll have to go back and look at it. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's my whole thought process was maybe a little darker. Maybe like a yin and a yang, maybe Bray Wyatt. I don't know. Because he's in the news a lot lately because his 90-day clause is up now. Bray's 90-day clause is up.
I didn't know that.
He is able to tell his story now. He is able to go wherever he wants now. And it's just interesting. Where is he going to show up? You got Survivor Series coming up. You got Full Gear coming up. You know he's got to, right? I mean, he's not done with this thing,
I don't
is
think
he?
he's going back to WWE.
I would assume not, but
There was actual lots of talks about it because like they've done that like with Zelina Vega. They kind of did it and then they brought him back, and there was talks of that with Bray Wyatt a lot, but there's been lots of other talks now that he has actually had a lot of heat with
in the backstage, yeah.
And so if you go against Vince, usually that's not a good thing. So I've actually heard a lot that he's more targeted for Impact than AEW.
Dude, that would be. I actually hate to say this. I would think that would be a really interesting move because it would put. I think he's. Dude, I've told you guys this. I told you this last time we talked a month ago or two ago about Bray Wyatt is the guy that I am strapping my company to. Maybe I just am in love with the guy so much, but I think he's multifaceted. He's not just the Louisiana crazy guy. If they wouldn't have just that cult leader. If they would have actually gave him substance to talk about, he's so good on the mic that I think he can just thrash you with his tongue. Now allow him to say something real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's so quick-witted that like anything somebody tries to say back to him, I feel like he could turn it on their head right away.
I think the thing about Bray Wyatt though with that is he doesn't just say like simple like I'm gonna like
he
Goldberg
words
line,
it
right?
in a way, yeah.
I'm gonna beat you up and you're last, and right, it's
Yeah.
very just simple. He is
That's pretty good, Goldberg.
he is he's very he's demonic in that character, but he's
a lyricist.
Yeah, like the words that he uses and things and phrases that you like, you're like, damn. Like,
it's not just the delivery. It's the way he uses his language. I remember when he was. First of all, do you remember the build to him and Taker at WrestleMania?
I believe I do. Because he was in Wyatt Family, so, right?
He was in Wyatt Family.
Because, okay, I believe I do, if I remember right.
4 Monday Night Raws in a row, you never saw Undertaker. 4 shows in a row, we never see Undertaker, but yet you care about the build. You care about Taker versus Bray. Now, a lot of that's because it's Taker's match.
Well, yeah.
But Bray Wyatt was so damn good. I remember when he introduced, he goes, I am the new face of fear. And it's just like those little things where you're like, oh my God, I remember hearing that. I stood up, I was like, that. It's just the way he tells the stories.
Yeah. And a lot of people thought that he was the, if you will, the new Undertaker. And I don't mean performance wise or anything, like, I mean more of the dark character that will be that aura for WWE for a while.
For the next 20 years.
Right. Like that was going to be his character. He was going to carry the dark side. And then you have guys like Malachi Black and things that will come in more, if you will, like the Kane and kind of more of the assistants.
Which would have been awesome for those guys.
Yeah.
Imagine a beef between, because Undertaker and Mankind was so legendary. That's a great rivalry. Imagine Aleister Black and Bray Wyatt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We were supposed to get the Fiend versus the Demon Bray or Finn Balor, and that never happened because they got sick.
Oh, really?
There was a virus or something that like struck through everybody.
I remember that.
Yeah, and they got sick, and it just never happened. It never came back to it. So they just were they're just afraid to use their own people.
You're talking earlier, and I just want to say this real quick.
Yeah,
about Finn Balor and who do they kind of put him with and things like that, right? We're talking about, okay, if he comes in, okay, don't put him in the main event. You want the big guys? Okay, don't put him in the main event. You put him more in the middle, just under the main event, and have him fight guys like Kevin Owens.
Yes. They would have a 10 out of 10 match.
Yeah.
You'd be talking about them. They both win no matter who wins. They both win that night.
Yeah.
Why is he fighting Roman Reigns?
Right.
First night back. When he's an afterthought, because here's what they had already, he was fighting Roman Reigns at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But they were already at Crown Jewel talking about Brock versus Roman.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point about WWE. Right now, nothing feels like there's any damn plan.
But
it all feels like it's just like, what do you want to do this week?
that was the second time, though.
Yeah.
Because then they did it to John Cena,
Yep.
the same thing, and then all of a sudden he was going to fight him, and then they brought in John Cena. Then they did it back with Brock and did the same thing.
You're right.
Within 2 months, they buried him twice.
Twice. You're right, dude. I forgot about the first go around.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
It hurts, Dustin. It hurts. I don't know what they're doing. And I want to enjoy these things. I do think they're building up their tag team division fairly well, if you want to dive into that for a few seconds.
Yeah.
But, you got Omos and AJ Styles, which they were thrown together, but they've been together a while now, so there's credibility. I love RK Bro. You've got
RK Bro's great.
They're great.
Such opposites. It just works, I think, because it is like that,
Yeah.
I think it's so just two people that you would never expect to be a tag team. And it truly is.
And Randy's bought into it.
Yeah.
And, sometimes he doesn't feel like if he buys into it, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? He's a veteran. He'd be like, you're going to put me with what? You know what I mean? But like, because he buys into it, it gives that guy, because Riddle's a guy that probably should have never made it work on the main roster, and they've made it work.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry, if you can make somebody that comes down on a scooter work, why can't you make Karrion Kross work?
Joe Smith.
Don't have a good gimmick,
No,
right? Where
totally
you're
agree.
finding these guys out because they're not going out there as a gimmick. They're going out there as a wrestler, and you're actually being able to see people on a lower level.
But I think it steals away from the storytelling with whoever. It's like, okay, is Bryan Danielson? We didn't even get into this, man. But we'll talk. We'll have to talk about it 1 week from now.
Yep.
Jim Cornette, okay, and Eric Bischoff have both said that they feel CM Punk's run right now has been shit. And that's interesting because of just the way, and I think they would change their mind with the way Eddie Kingston, this is going to go with that, and I think they would. But like Eric Bischoff, he said he was on record talking about how great the original night was for CM Punk's debut.
Yeah.
But like he's on record saying that he thinks so far they just hasn't moved the needle. Has the ratings gone any higher than that original first night? What have they done to keep us invested, to get more eyeballs, to get people here? Or do you have to go a slow burn with him? He's on record saying that, and I want to get your thoughts on that next week.
Okay.
And maybe he changes his mind between then and now. Who knows?
Okay.
Dustin, man, final words from you.
To me, I mean, we got kicking off. I mean, it's going to be an exciting month. I mean, we got Full Gear coming up, being able to go see the 24th, AEW Dynamite, and then you have Survivor Series after that. So next 2.5 weeks, there's a lot of things are going to go on here, right? And I mean, Survivor Series to me is, and I think you'll agree with this, this is my number 4 pay-per-view. I don't know if you'll agree with that, because you got WrestleMania, to me, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series.
I'll say this, if Survivor Series was done right, I do like the way they do it.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I love the old school. To me, a Survivor Series could have always, just like King of the Ring, could have always been that pay-per-view where like you can take a break from the normal storylines. You have these traditional teams that they put up with their buddies, and they, but Survivor Series, when it first started off, it was every match was 5-on-5.
Oh, really?
Every match was 5-on-5. They would do it. And then one year they did 5-on-5. They would do a tournament, and whoever didn't get eliminated throughout the night in their matches continued to represent their team. So like as it went on, you might have like the Mega Maniacs, which was like a mixture of like, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, and then some other guys. So like what would represent that today would be like the Street Profits and the New Day would be a team of 5. And then whoever won, let's say they won their match against Miz, Morrison, or Morrissey or whatever, all those guys, whatever their team of 5 was, but only 2 of them won it. They would go on to the next round, those 2. So it's kind of like a King of the Ring style, elimination style, but with your teams. That was always kind of cool.
I don't remember that.
I like the belts now because they have the 2 brands. As long as they do that, sometimes they.
Who's the better brand? I mean, I like the idea of it, right? But
you got to back it up.
But yeah, you have to have certain things, right? I mean, the 5-on-5, you want to see like who takes it over for SmackDown, right?
Yep.
In the 5-on-5. I feel like sometimes they build that up great. Then sometimes I feel like,
It's that inconsistency, man.
It is. It's up and down. And the other thing, though, I have noticed in this, they haven't done yet this year, which usually they do it by now, is the invasions. I hate when I don't mind the invasions, but when you
Overdone.
do it year and year and year, and it's like, all right, well, here comes the invasion. We're about at Survivor Series.
In 1000%, it's probably going to happen like the last week of the thing, and it's going to be done sloppily, and there's just going to be a big brawl at the end. And yeah, and that's what we're tired of. Fix it. Vince McMahon, I love you. Fix it. Fix it. To answer your question, I would say now Money in the Bank is probably my number 4.
Okay.
And then Survivor Series would probably, actually, Money in the Bank's probably my 3rd. It would go WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. And if I'm being honest, just as a TV product, I love Royal Rumble. That's my favorite.
I agree.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
WrestleMania is my favorite in live product because you're going to get the best cards and the biggest surprises and all that stuff. So that is like 1A and 1B, and then it would go Money in the Bank, and then I would say probably SummerSlam and then Survivor Series. So we're close. But hey, guys, next Sunday, 7:15, 7:30, look for us. We're going to be on the air. We come at you every week for about an hour. Dustin Borton, Robert Gifford, Johnny Bang Bang Show. Follow us on Instagram. The only place you can find us is on YouTube, so hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys on down the road.
Have a good night.
Get the hell out of here. And we are.